All right, I think before I try and explain the animate function, I'm going to show you what this code does, this hover code that I came up with uh, before I do explaining the animate. And so the idea is there's the bed, and when I hover over it, it's going to run this function bed goes up that I wrote. So watch. And now I'm hovering, so the bed's up, and then I leave, bed goes down. Bed goes up, bed goes down, bed goes up, bed goes down, bed goes up, bed goes down. You know where I got this from? Okay, I'm really hoping that that doesn't turn into some sort of Simpsons fest for you guys, but that's where I got that idea from. But that's just an animation. In the code, notice the hover is when I start hovering, it's going to do this command. When I stop hovering, it's going to do that command. Now, I actually had to write that code, that bed goes up and bed goes down code, and that's this right here. It's the animate function, and that's what we're talking about next. The animate function has this notation. I can animate just about anything, just like all these jQuery commands work on just about anything. This one was on an image. Animate, and then the first part is the details about the animation, and the second one is the speed. And similar to our fade out, the speed can be a number or a word. These details are a little bit complicated. It feels like a JavaScript math command, is how or what will change about moving the object. So in our example, what it was, when I hovered over, the bed went up, meant the top of the image, because I was hovering over an image, went and this minus equals, remember, means to do this. And it's not quite the same as doing this. That's kind of like the shortcut. Top equals top minus 50. Remember, we knew that in JavaScript we could shorten that down to this, right? Minus equals. Now that's kind of like what I'm doing, except for this top is a CSS property. The top of the image equals the old top of the image minus 50. So that means the top of the image is 50 higher. Bed goes up. Right? Now the second one is a little different. The bed goes down, animated it to be the top is 150. So that animates it so the top returns actually to its original value. Its original value, the top was 150, and my JavaScript returns it to that spot. And we could do things with the left, the bottom, the top, whatever we would like to set this. It sets that over this many seconds. In this case, does it fast. So that's how the animate works. Okay, I have more for you to take in about the note. The speed is how fast, just like we saw before. And here's our example. You have the example in the example code, but we have div.animate left plus equals 10 pixels 1,500. So this would move the left side of the div 10 pixels over. So this would actually move it right 10 pixels over a time of 1.5 seconds. Every time this command is executed, the div will move right by 10 pixels over a period of 1.5 seconds. So remember, we still need an event, a click or a hover or a double click to trigger this effect. Animate is effect. Remember, and this I never mentioned, but all HTML things are originally positioned as static. Static, just like if you had static cling or something, it's stuck in place. That's the default. I have to, in my CSS, anything that I want to move, I need to position them as relative or as absolute or as something like that. You can't leave this as the default, which is static. Okay, so that CSS thing, really, really important. You know, it might be once you start goofing around with that position relative is the only thing and you have in your CSS, but it needs to be there. All right, what else? Left refers to the left edge of the object. In this case, it was a div. In my example that made the bed go up, it was the image. We usually embed an effect like this in a jQuery event, such as a click or a hover. So remember, any of these effects, animate is an effect, fade out is an effect, hide is an effect, show is an effect. Usually it's after an event. So usually there's an event kind of around the jQuery effect, animate. Okay. What's the last thing we want to talk about? Last thing we want to talk about is not keyboard events, but, or sorry, not mouse events, but keyboard events. And this is the one, this is the really super cool example in the Code Academy where you got to move Mario around. And of course, I'm going to want you to practice that on your own so you can get a little bit of your creative juices flowing. But we want to sort of see this in action. And this is actually my third example. I don't think this one is as cool as moving a Mario around, or even bed going up and bed going down. So what do I have here? I have when the document is ready. Notice that the key down is whenever I press the button, it acts on the whole document. So as long as the document is active and I'm pressing the keyboard, it's going to trigger this function. Okay, and then there's some fancy stuff that happens. Okay, let's see if this is. I think here, I'm going to move this a little bit. I'm going to change the div so it's a little bit further down. So I'm going to move this so the top is 200. It's going to get in the way of the bed, but I don't care. And remember, I need in my HTML to change it to my third example. Save that, and I'm going to run that in Chrome. So there's my div, and there's my bed going up. But remember, it's not bed go up, bed go down, because that was the last example. This code's different. And the double click me, let's have a look at what this code is actually going to do. See, it's waiting to be triggered for when I press a key. So when I press a key, it's going to run this code. Now what does this code do? Notice that a lot of this, most of this stuff is all JavaScript. This stuff in here is not jQuery at all. There's no $sign, so it's not jQuery. So what's going on? We've got a variable, and it's parsing the which key, which inside the function, it actually grabs what key is pressed, and this is an object, actually. It's an event object with the property which. 10 gives me, I think, this is a whole list of stuff, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. And essentially, this key number through this whole thing gives me a number. And the 32 actually corresponds to the space bar, but how would I know that? Well, I'll talk about that in a moment. But if the key number is equal to 32, then it's going to run this jump function. And this jump function we can see is a couple of animations. So let's see this in action. See how it's going to work. This is it, right? Yes. And so now I'm in the window, and I'm going to press the space key. There, it's jumping. That's pretty cool. The first one, because I moved it way down, it moved way up, and then it reset itself. Jump, jump. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I want to show you, I'm pressing F12, because in my JavaScript, what happened is if it's not 32, I'm just going to log to the console which key. Now, which key isn't a number. A number comes out of this big long thing, which you'll need to remember this. This is an important example. Which key is actually an object that we're acting upon with this parseInt stuff. So I want to show you that. On my code, if I'm going to press the G key. Not in there. When in my window, I'm going to press the G key. And then on the console, notice that it talks about an M event and type key down and all this blah, 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 blah. My key down, which key event picks out of here which key it actually was. Probably it's the 10th, I'm guessing it's the 10th character in this thing right there. Or maybe down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Not that one, but I bet you it's in this. I bet you it's in this. Oh, that there, key code. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm not sure how it gets all the way down to the key code, but I'll bet you G is the key code 71, and I'll show you where we would possibly. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Which. Dot which. So this is an object that has the key which is which, and it has the value 71, and that's actually in my code what gets assigned to this key number. Now, do you have to care about all these details? No. We know what do you have to know? That if you want to catch key characters and different ones, then this is the type of code to use. In the Code Academy, they used like 4 different values. They used a case and switch structure to catch all the 4 cursor keys to make Mario go left and right and up and down. This one just makes the div jump when the spacebar is pressed, because 32 is the spacebar. Okay, that's pretty cool. Let's see that again before we get back to the note. I'm going to get back to the note so we have something that's actually written down. But there, because this window is active and I press the spacebar, I press any other key and it's putting all this stuff to the console, all this junk to the console, because that's what the JavaScript did. But that's pretty neat. Okay, let's get back to the note. Finish off our note. Notation. So document.keyDown function. And so if I don't care which key was pressed, like press any key to do this, then I don't have to have that which key business. I don't have to put anything in there. And if any key is pressed, this code here will be run. Whatever it happens to be. If you want to fade stuff out, you want to show some stuff, you want to, whatever you want to do, that will be in here. Adding the parameter to the keyDown function allows us to catch the key and figure out what to do if different keys are pressed. In the Code Academy, that was the cursor keys. For me, I was looking for the spacebar so I could jump. And so here's the example. Document.keyDown function whatever. So in my note, this was which key. I think in Code Academy they called it key or something. But this is just a parameter that you pick. And then I use a second variable, and I parse int whatever.which. This is a key and value pair for this whatever object. So whatever you call the parameter here has to be here. Okay, which has to be the word which, and it has to be the number 10. And then whatever you would like to process. And I said 32 is the spacebar, but how the heck are we supposed to know that? How are we supposed to know which key is which? Well, one thing is you could just goof around with it and guess and check. That's no fun. Why don't we Google it? Let's go jQuery keyboard codes. Full list of jQuery keyboard character codes on keypress. Let's see, is it here? Maybe not there. Probably on that API we had. Oh, JavaScript char codes. That's what we want. And this has probably got a little, you know what? This website has got a little JavaScript right built into it. There's some examples, but it's got a little HTML form. And if I press the Y key, it's 89. If I press the space bar, there's the 32. The G, oh, the G was 71, just like we knew. And that's pretty cool. So you can just Google it. And in fact, I'll bet you it wouldn't take you guys too much to come up with a website that looked something like that. Um, Maybe that'll be one of your homework assignments. I don't know, but it is that time. Save up your note and then look for the homework.